Honda. Today, this name represents much more than a brand. It is synonymous with innovation, quality, and trust. It is among the most powerful and admired companies on the planet. But in 1922, Honda wasn't a brand. It was just the surname of a young dreamer, a Japanese boy named Soichiro Honda. At the age of 15, he arrived in Tokyo with his eyes shining and his pockets empty. His humble career began there in a small repair shop. His skeptical boss didn't see any talent in the young man. Therefore, Soichiro was tasked with the simplest tasks: sweeping the floor, cleaning tools, and even taking care of the family's children. But what few knew is that behind that grease-stained uniform, there was a restless spirit, a rebellious genius with an uncontrollable passion for engines, speed, and machines. How did that boy, invisible to others, become one of the most respected names in the history of engineering and the automotive industry? To understand this journey, we need to go back even further, to the year 1906, in a rural village in Japan, where it all began. Japan's Soichiro Honda was born in 1906 in the small village of Tenru, at the foot of Mount Fuji. His father, Gihei Honda, worked as a blacksmith and repaired bicycles in his spare time, while his mother, a skilled weaver, helped support the family amid many financial difficulties. Soichiro's childhood was marked by painful losses. 5 of his siblings died in infancy due to health problems. Despite this, he grew up with a natural curiosity and a keen eye for the world around him. At the age of 8, an unusual event changed his perception. Upon hearing an unusual noise, he listened to the sound until he came across a machine on 4 wheels. It was a Ford Model T, a vehicle he had never seen before. That experience left a profound impression on Soichiro, awakening an insatiable curiosity for mechanics and engineering, which would shape his journey and forever transform the automotive industry. It was the first car I had ever seen in my life. The emotion was indescribable. I couldn't understand how something like that could move by itself. When it passed me, without even realizing it, I saw myself running after it down the road as fast as I could. That moment left an indelible mark on his life, profoundly influencing his relationship with machines. At a young age, Soichiro began to learn on his own. He sharpened blades on agricultural equipment and helped to renovate bicycles, developing a fascination for engines and all types of machinery. However, the same excitement did not translate into his studies. He hated going to school and preferred to spend his time helping his father in the workshop. His lack of interest in formal learning was reflected in his low grades. In an attempt to hide his poor performance, Soichiro found a piece of rubber and forged the family seal on his report cards to prevent his father from seeing the evaluations. The scheme, however, did not last long. When he was discovered, his father severely punished him, forcing him to kneel for a whole day without food, as a lesson for his dishonesty. In 1922, Soichiro came across a magazine advertisement for an automotive service company in Tokyo called Art Shokai. He thought that, as one of the most renowned in the city, the company might be looking for new employees. Motivated, he wrote a letter asking about the possibility of a job, and to his surprise, received a positive response. At just 15 years old, Soichiro made a bold decision. He dropped out of school, left home, and set off for Tokyo to pursue his dreams. Upon arriving in the capital, Soichiro was struck by the fast pace of urban life, a reality completely different from the quiet village where he had grown up. When he met the company's owner, Yuzo Sakakibara, he was immediately given an unexpected task: to take care of his young son. For the first few months, this was his only job. He carried the baby on his back all day, without any involvement with machines. The disappointment was great. He had left everything behind in pursuit of a dream, but found himself limited to being a kind of babysitter. However, What kept him in Tokyo was not hope, but the shame of returning home as a failure. Over time, however, his luck changed. The business grew rapidly, and Sakakibara, overwhelmed, decided to give Soichiro another chance. He started with simple tasks, such as cleaning tools and organizing parts. But soon his dedication and natural talent caught the eye. He gained the owner's trust and began working directly as a mechanic. As his work became increasingly precise, Sakakibara decided to train him in the commercial side of the company as well. At the time, automobiles were still rare in Japan. Luxury items, accessible only to the elite. Most vehicles were imported from the United States and Europe. Thus, Soichiro came into contact with several sophisticated models: Lincolns, Mercedes, Daimlers, as well as foreign motorcycles. Fascinated, he studied each engine, disassembled each part, and observed everything carefully. His knowledge grew along with his passion for machines. It was during this phase that Soichiro discovered motorsports. Through Art Shokai, he had his first contact with car racing, a world that would change his life. In 1923, Sakakibara decided to build racing cars with the help of his employees, including Soichiro. The first model was the Art Daimler, made with a used Daimler engine. The second, called Curtis, used an American biplane engine, mounted on the chassis of a Mitchell car. This car took part in the 5th Japanese Motor Racing Championship in 1924. It came in first place, with Sakakibara's brother at the wheel, and Soichiro as the team's engineer. He was only 17 years old, and was already immersed in the heart of the sport he would come to love. From that moment on, motor racing was not just a job. It became his true passion, running through his veins like fuel for the dreams that were yet to come. In 1926, Soichiro was drafted into the military, but was eventually discharged after medical examinations revealed that he was colorblind. This prevented him from joining the army, but allowed him to continue working at Art Shokai. 2 years later, in 1928, Yuzo Sakakibara decided to expand the business and open a new branch of the company in Hamamatsu. To lead this unit, he chose Soichiro, his young and dedicated apprentice. At just 21 years old, Soichiro was given the responsibility of running the new workshop. The first few months were challenging. Soichiro's youth made many customers suspicious of his abilities. The workshop barely received any services, and he had to accept repairs that had been rejected by other companies. But with persistence, he used all the experience he had gained over the years to overcome the difficulties. Little by little, his reputation began to grow. By the 1930s, the workshop had a staff of 30 men. The pace of expansion was rapid, and demand was constantly increasing. Soichiro called on his wife to help him with management, further consolidating the business. Although he was recognized as an excellent mechanic, Soichiro also stood out on the racetrack. This skill set him apart from his competitors and strengthened his image in the market. He even built his own racing car in Hamamatsu and, with it, set a new speed record in Japan, reaching an impressive 120 kilometers per hour, a historic feat that remained unbeaten for more than 20 years. But racing at that time was dangerous. In June 1936, during a competition on the outskirts of Tokyo, Soichiro suffered a serious accident. He suffered a fractured left arm, a dislocated shoulder, and deep wounds to his face. He spent months recovering in the hospital and returned to the track only 4 months later. However, his family was worried. His wife and father asked him to give up racing. After much discussion, Soichiro made a difficult decision. He would never compete again. In 1936, he began to feel dissatisfied with his work as a repairman. He wanted something bigger. His plan was to transform the Art Shokai branch in Hamamatsu into an independent company, specializing in the manufacture of automotive parts. However, the shareholders were opposed to the idea. To them, The workshop was already generating sufficient profits, and investing in something new seemed like an unnecessary risk. Soichiro decided to go it alone. He created his own company focused on manufacturing piston rings, called Tokai Seiki. He appointed a longtime friend as president, confident that together they could take the next step towards the future. Together, Soichiro Honda and his friend Kato dedicated themselves intensely to the success of their new venture, the manufacture of piston rings. They established the Piston Ring Research Center, a small laboratory with the goal of improving the quality and efficiency of these fundamental engine components. Meanwhile, Soichiro still divided his time between developing pistons and the art shokai workshop in Hamamatsu. The pace was exhausting. The stress and continuous effort began to take its toll on his health. Soichiro lost weight rapidly, and his once youthful face began to show the weariness of years of intense dedication. Despite the difficulties, he did not give up. After several technical failures, he made a bold decision. He enrolled as a part-time student at the Hamamatsu Industrial Institute to learn more about metallurgy. It was not until 1939, after years of trying, that he finally managed to develop a functional piston ring. Confident in progress, Soichiro left art shokai and devoted himself exclusively to his company, Tokai Seiki. At first, his parts were still not perfect. When Toyota ordered 50 samples, only 3 passed quality tests. But Honda was not discouraged. He spent the next few years traveling throughout Japan, visiting factories and universities, learning from engineers, and studying new techniques. When he returned with his improved knowledge, the results were remarkable. His piston rings finally met the required standard, and orders began to pour in from all corners of the country. The success was so great that the company quickly hired about 2,000 employees to meet the high demand. Tokai Seiki was booming. But then came the war. In 1941, with the outbreak of the Pacific War, the Japanese government took direct control of several industries, including Honda's. Toyota acquired 45% of Tokai Seiki's shares, and Soichiro was demoted from president to technical director. Soon after, the problems got worse. Many employees were drafted into the army, and the factory faced serious operational difficulties. Even so, Honda struggled to keep the company running. In 1944, a bomb hit the factory directly during an air raid, destroying much of the structure. And in January 1945, an earthquake further devastated what was left. Japan surrendered in August of that year, but Soichiro had already lost virtually everything. Faced with this scenario, he sold the rubble of his company to Toyota for 450,000 yen and announced that he would take some time to think about the future. The idea that changed everything post-war Japan was a devastated country. There was a lack of food, clothing, shelter, and hope. Gasoline was a luxury, and even simple activities, like going to the grocery store, became a challenge. It was in this context that Soichiro had his most brilliant idea. One day, he found a generator engine used by the army during the war. It was small, but powerful enough to power a radio. Curious, he dismantled the engine and studied how it worked. Then he thought, what if I attach this to a bicycle? In Europe, this type of adaptation was already common, but in Japan, it was still a novelty. Soichiro realized that the country desperately needed cheap and accessible means of transportation, and decided to act. In 1946, he founded the Honda Technical Research Institute. With just 12 men working in an old warehouse, they used repurposed engines and improvised parts to assemble the first motorized bicycles. The success was immediate. Orders came from all corners of Japan, but soon, the 500 engines available ran out. So Soichiro took a new step. He designed and produced his own engine. In 1947, the Type A engine was born, and with it, for the first time, the Honda name appeared on an original creation. It was the beginning of something that would change not only his life, but the future of mobility around the world. In 1948, Soichiro Honda officially founded the Honda Motor Company with a clear mission: to manufacture affordable motorcycles that could facilitate transportation for Japanese workers in a war-torn country. But to realize this dream on a large scale, he needed one essential thing: capital. With the boldness that has always characterized him, Soichiro sent letters to 18,000 bicycle shopkeepers spread throughout Japan. His proposal was simple and ambitious. Together, they would rebuild the country through a new transportation solution. The response was astonishing. 3,000 shopkeepers accepted the proposal and invested in the project. With financing secured, production of the first motorcycles began. The following year, Honda launched its first full-size motorcycle, the Model D. It was a significant technical advance, but there was one problem. The model was large, heavy, and impractical for everyday use. Sales were modest, and the reception was lukewarm. Soichiro, a perfectionist and driven by challenge, dismantled the Model D and went back to the drawing board. He spent 3 years testing, redesigning, and adjusting. The result of his persistence was the birth of the Super Cub, a lightweight, affordable, and reliable motorcycle designed for everyone, from students to housewives. Launched in the late 1950s, the Super Cub was an instant success. It even received recognition from the Japanese emperor himself. Such was the social impact of the innovation. During this same period, Honda found an essential partner, Takeo Fujisawa, an investor with great talent for finance and marketing. The partnership was decisive. While Soichiro took care of engineering and production, Fujisawa outlined the commercial strategies. Together, they formed the duo that would shape the Honda empire. In 1958, the Super Cub arrived in the United States. Sold for just $295, about a quarter of the price of American motorcycles, the model quickly won over the public. The "You meet the nicest people on a Honda" advertising campaign shattered the stereotype of the rebellious motorcyclist and transformed the bike into a symbol of practicality. Soon, Honda surpassed giants such as Triumph and BSA in their own markets. But Soichiro wanted more. Racing, for him, was not just a sport. It was an open-air laboratory, a global showcase of engineering. He began traveling the world, watching competitions, analyzing rival bikes, learning from each defeat. When Honda made its international debut on the track in 1954, the result was disappointing. But instead of retreating, the company returned even more determined. 5 years later, in 1959, Honda was crowned Best Manufacturer Team at the legendary Isle of Man TT race, the biggest stage in world motorcycling. Over the next decade, winning this race would become a regular occurrence for Honda, and its dominance on the track would cement the brand's reputation as a benchmark for performance and reliability. By the turn of the 1960s, Honda had become the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer. From the launch of the Honda Dream in 1949 to the start of the new decade, more than 10 million motorcycles had been produced. But for Soichiro Honda, that wasn't enough. He still had a much bigger dream inside him, a childhood dream. Since he was 8 years old, Soichiro had wanted to make cars, and now, with his company strong, recognized, and global, he was finally ready to enter the next chapter of his journey. When Soichiro Honda announced that he would take his company into the automobile market, many reacted with skepticism. Honda dominated motorcycles. Why risk everything in an industry already saturated with giants like Toyota and Nissan? Japanese authorities even tried to dissuade him. They believed that the country did not need another car manufacturer. But Soichiro, true to his rebellious and innovative spirit, did not back down. For him, challenges were fuel. In 1963, Honda made its debut in the industry with the T360, an agile and reliable mini-truck. Although it was not a resounding success, the model served as a solid first step. Soon after, the S500 came along, a two-door sports roadster with a 4-speed transmission and a high revving engine. It was not a mass-market car. Only 1,300 units were produced. But it made it clear, Honda was not messing around. And as he had done with motorcycles, Soichiro also took his cars to the track. In 1964, the RA271 made its Formula One debut at the Belgian Grand Prix. Just 1 year later, Honda won the Mexican GP with the RA272, becoming the first Japanese automaker to win in F1. Despite the victories on the track, Honda's cars still did not have the desired commercial impact, so the company temporarily withdrew from racing and returned to the laboratory. The goal was clear: to create a revolutionary car. That car arrived in 1972, the Honda Civic. Compact, efficient, and affordable, the Civic appeared at just the right time. The oil crisis was shaking the world. In the US and Europe, people were looking for cars that consumed less fuel, and the Civic delivered exactly that. With an innovation called CVCC, Vortex Controlled Combustion, Honda managed to create an efficient and clean system. While other automakers struggled to comply with new environmental laws, Honda was already offering a car that polluted less without the need for expensive technologies. The Civic was a global success, but there was still more to come. In 1976, the Honda Accord was born, first as a hatchback, then as a comfortable, robust, and economical sedan. The Accord would soon become one of the best-selling sedans in history, especially winning over the North American public. By the turn of the 1980s, Honda was already the third largest car manufacturer in Japan. By the end of the decade, it had consolidated itself as one of the 3 largest automakers in the world. Meanwhile, Soichiro Honda, who had always spent more time on the factory floor than in boardrooms, was beginning to drift away. In 1973, he stepped down as head of the company, but his spirit remained present in every innovation the brand made. He passed away on August 5, 1991, leaving behind an immeasurable legacy. In his final words about his own career, he admitted that he had failed countless times, but that each mistake was an essential step on the path to learning and excellence. Honda, born from the ashes of war, from an obsession with engines, and the courage to dream big, continued to grow. It diversified its business. It entered the sector of executive jets, robotics, marine engines, agricultural equipment, generators, and more. But in each product, be it a lightweight motorcycle, a hybrid car, or a humanoid robot, lives the same idea: progress guided by boldness and innovation with soul. Honda arrived in Brazil in 1971, bringing with it a vision of affordable mobility, reliable technology, and a commitment to quality. A short time later, it became the leader in the motorcycle market, a position it proudly holds to this day. Iconic models such as the Honda CG125, a benchmark in durability and economy, and the versatile Honda Biz, marked generations and became the best-selling motorcycles in the country, meeting the needs of millions of Brazilians in cities and on the roads. The trajectory in the automotive sector was also remarkable. The Honda Civic, with its bold design and efficient performance, became one of the most admired sedans in the national market. The line expanded with the arrival of the Honda HR-V and the Honda City, which quickly gained ground and continued to rise, combining innovation, comfort, and safety. But Honda did not stand out only for its products. The brand became a fundamental part of Brazilian economic development. With factories in São Bernardo do Campo, SP, and Manaus, or AM, it has generated thousands of jobs and contributed to the technical and professional training of generations. Today, Honda is recognized as one of the most beloved and respected brands in Brazil, thanks to its ongoing commitment to excellence, sustainability, and building a more efficient and accessible future for all. Thank you for following this journey driven by dreams, innovation, and determination, the trajectory of a brand that has changed the way the world moves.